Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Long Rest. I am Logan,
And I am Brandon.
and today we're going to be going over how to create your characters.
There are many options when it comes to creating a character. One can start with a class, start with a species, start with an idea.
Yeah, sometimes I am notorious for making characters in my downtime. I'd say it's
A
kind of
plethora.
my forte, under our master tier subscription, I have a whole campaign of just my characters that I just make
Yep.
whenever I'm bored.
The
'Cause it
Beyond
pleases
specifically emailed them and said, "Please stop. You're bogging down our servers. We need you to stop."
Yeah, that crash back in 2024. You're welcome. That was all me.
It's sometimes it can be really hard, and you can definitely have writer's block because characters you can try. It can be easy to try too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to take a step back. And I think one thing that is a very big benefit is knowing the location or the campaign overall arcing theme that this character will be taking place in, and maybe it's kind of a place to start,
Yeah,
where that character is going to exist and live.
yeah, because that truthfully determines the theme of the character.
Yeah.
If the setting has different species that are or are not there,
True.
or the prevalence of those species, because you got to know, even if there might be loxodons in that settings, how do the other species look at them? Like, how are they treated?
Yeah.
Or orcs, goblins, they're the classic example. Some settings they're okay, some settings they're not, so it's truly dependent upon the story that's about to be told on where you should start off. So that's always the jumping off point, is just knowing where you're going to be playing in. But you can always come in with a preset idea of a character that you want to play.
Sure.
For instance, maybe you are really inspired by Indiana Jones or something, so you want to have an archaeologist with proficiency in history that uses a whip. Sweet. The sky's the limit from there.
Very true.
You can be a fighter, you can be a ranger, you can be a rogue, whatever. Probably not a wizard, but blade singer. I don't know. But truthfully, the sky's the limit if you just start with an inspiration. But regardless of how you start, because it could be from a class, or it could be from a species, or it could from an existing idea. It just has to fit into that world.
Correct.
So once you kind of know the world that you're going to be in, what are the next steps from there?
I think at that point you're kind of deciding whether are you building off that idea, continuing, or are you going for a certain stat look. In our session 01, how we talked, when you're sitting around the table at that session 0, the DM's giving you the overview of kind of where the campaign's going to take place, and everybody's kind of talking about the mold, and I think that's a great place to say, okay, I'm going to end up playing that intelligence-based character, like that. I'm going to fit that mold because you're going to play the dex-based character. So I'm going to look, at that point, I'm kind of going to be pulled to certain classes. It's not that you can't play every class with that said peak modifier, but you definitely are going to not have a very fun time playing a barbarian that is intelligence-based in the long run. Like, you're definitely going to have a damper in spirits when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
So our advice would probably be to play those ones that they are the main stats for that class, because you will have a much more fun. I keep saying it.
Much more funner.
Much more funner time. So intelligence, I'm going to play a wizard, or you can pull a rogue, a blood hunter. There are different things you can easily still play in that regard. So once you get that established, I think I kind of like to pull class first. I think if you pull the class first, it's easier as a complement as a species, most generally.
Yeah. For me, it's, again, the addict of making characters. Sometimes it really does just come from an existing idea, where I'm like, I have to get this idea out. But it really does most of the time start with a class, because that builds the foundation of your character.
Yeah.
So we kind of thought it'd be a fun idea to build a character along with it. Myself, I've been itching to play the 2024 monk. So I'm going to flip right open to the monk.
So you at home, please open your book to page
100.
100. Wow,
Yeah.
what a perfect time.
This is actually Monk 101.
Yeah, that is funny.
Um,
So you were playing a monk.
yeah.
Cool.
So the primary abilities for a monk are dexterity and wisdom.
Okay.
But everybody that knows D&D knows that you cannot dump Constitution. You're just not going to survive if you're going to be playing with a low Constitution character. So a monk would be considered kind of a multiple ability dependent class. They're mad is what people call them, where you can't dump your Constitution, you cannot dump your wisdom, you cannot dump your dexterity, because the entire foundation of that class is built off of those stats.
Very similar to what Carson is in our podcast.
Yeah.
Playing a blood hunter is you got to be even across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
Absolutely.
If not, you feel it.
Yeah.
You know.
So I know for a fact whenever I go to pick my stats, which ones are the higher ones, which ones are the lower ones. Charisma could be lower, for sure. Intelligence could be lower. Strength could be lower.
Yeah.
But the other three I know they have to be positive of 10.
Yes.
For sure. I cannot dump those stats in the slightest. You could always go strength-based monk. You just won't be as effective of a monk. So feel free to flavor it however you want. Work with your DM to make that character that you want. But just know, if you're going for strength, probably not the route you would want to go.
Yeah. It's if you're probably watching this video, you're probably maybe about to play in your first campaign, maybe second one, but you're still kind of learning D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Fall to the standards the standards are a standard for a reason. So
Yeah.
the book has created a class that, monks do well in dexterity and wisdom and do well. That's what they excel in. And every class does it. Do your best to stay with them.
Yeah.
You will have a better time. The class flows, and that's how the class is made to do that. By all means, after you definitely have some years and experience underneath your belt, and you want to get a little creative, that's when you can really kind of pull the wheels off and do something out of left field that you can kind of flavor and do something. But I think our advice would be to kind of stay in the lane. And you're not hurting anything by doing that. I kind of think maybe people might think that's a little weird sometimes, and you want to get really creative, but it's perfectly fine to play exactly what's made.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it easier to actually play that character
Yes.
as you progress throughout the levels. So
You got the class picked.
we picked our class. There's multiple places where you can now go.
True.
The obvious one is we're going to need some stats. Stats can come from a variety of different ways. There is the standard array method, which is just across the board a very easy method to use, because you get one negative, one right at 10, and then everything else is positive, maxing out at 15.
Correct.
It keeps, if everybody around the table does it, it keeps it very balanced. If you go with the point buy method, that lets you tailor your character to what you want them to be within certain parameters. It's kind of hard to explain truthfully without a calculator, so I highly recommend just Googling a point buy calculator. They have the tools out there, whether that be D&D Beyond or just a third-party website that does point buy for you. That one I like a lot because, again, it keeps everything well balanced and within reason. So you don't have like a 6 to Constitution or a 6 to Strength to where you can't even pick up a book. And you don't have an 18. You're not starting off already at the peak of everything that you can achieve. So the point buy puts you right on the middle road, but it's more customization than standard array.
True.
And then the final option is go full random, roll for stats. We all love rolling dice, but there's a lot of caveats to this. This is how you can end up with a 4, or even worse, this is how you could end up with an 18 or higher. So there's a lot of variance when you roll for stats, and we've experimented with all sorts of different ways to actually roll for the stats, be that 4d6 drop the lowest. We've tried ones where it's kind of communal rolls, where everybody rolls 4d6, and then we can arrange all of those dice however we want, but everybody starts off with the base dice, where you can just assign them. If I want 3 6s here, and then 4 4s or 3 4s, whatever it be, you can kind of play with the dice that are on the table. That one was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because it did keep the table even, but again, you get the highs and lows. it's not exactly the middle ground. So however your table chooses to do their abilities, keep it standard across that table. For sure.
Yeah, definitely advises, make the table equal.
Yeah.
Because it really stinks if I roll really well, all my stats are looking pristine, and then Logan has many stats that are subpar.
Yeah.
And it's not really, no one's going to have fun in that situation, because Logan's never going to have fun sitting down with that character going, sweet, let me roll this saving throw with my -2. Oh, and this saving throw is also -1.
Exactly.
Great, you know.
Yeah. You go from being an average, like you got average Joe in your party, and then you have some god
Superman,
killer coming right in, and it's hard to compare each other.
One of the easiest ones we found to do, I guess just as a little thing, was we each rolled 4d6 one time. We dropped the lowest 6, and there's 6 people that sit around our table at the home game, and so we had 6 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to use within those 6 numbers. Those are your numbers, and you can put them wherever you want. Everybody has the exact same, and so be it. Like, everything's nice and fair and even, and it was a great flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think it's a benefit to choose species before your stats, because your species, I guess technically in the older versions, were much more dependent.
Not no more.
Not no more necessarily, because you do get to adjust them yourself.
Yeah.
But within that element, it still kind of helps you get that species, and then before you get the stats, because maybe what you're visualizing that character to really be, whether he be a dwarf, or he be an elf. I can't speak today. Or he is an elf, or he is that Loxodon you're talking about. Like, wow, is he bigger, a little more stout? Is he a little bit more hardy? Is he a little quicker? Like that, how you visualize it, you can play that into the stat push.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So for your monk, Mr.
Yeah. I do want to put a pause here.
Absolutely.
I think picking a background, especially in 2024 rules, picking a background has become more important than previous, because the background actually assigns your stats. It assigns your ability bonuses that you get. On
Correct.
the backgrounds now, you can either do a +2 to one ability score and a +1 to another, or you can pick 1 to 3 different ones.
Yes.
But based on the background, it chooses which stats you can actually assign them to. So picking the background is super important. What I think would be the next step, I would do class, your base stats, then your background, because that also gives your character that kind of build of what they were doing prior to that starting the campaign, and it also kind of gives you early on, it gives you skill proficiencies, plus 2024 gives you origin feats. So again, it adds more flavor to your character. And you can always explore homebrewing your own background. We'll get into that into a different video. But just for now, we'd pick a background. Off the top of my head, I think a monk as a sailor would be really cool. You know, I know for a fact, just off the top of my head, because I was reading this earlier today, sailors have, they get the Tavern Brawler feat as an origin feat. So you get to punch stuff. You get to re-roll your unarmed strikes if you get a 1. That's super cool. And then you also get proficiency in acrobatics and I think it was perception. So that kind of helps tailor the background. You know where your character ship was. He was part of a ship crew or something along those lines. But regardless, we have our background. After you get that is when then I would select a species. So I've kind of already started to shape this character in my head of what they look like, what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve. So now I pick a species that I think would help form that character in real time, in the physical space. I'm a big fan of designing that character on Hero Forge just to really put them out there. Again, I couldn't tell you the amount of times I've come up with a new character and just shown you on Hero Forge. I'm so proud of it just because I've spent so much time coloring every single detail, tweaking their pose. I'm a goof. But regardless, picking that species then gives you extra fluff to add to that character. Typically, it doesn't change much about the core of the class, but it's going to, again, build that foundation.
Yeah, and which you do gain your species traits, which are also very important. So this is where I would definitely differ from you in that regard, because I would enjoy picking my species second and using the background to complement that species in my class as a whole. Because your species traits can be very crucial and be very rewarding in game. There's some very, very interesting ones. If you're an elf, where you only have to sleep for 4 hours, or rest rather for 4 hours, or if you're a warforged, I think it's 6, and then if you're a normal person, it's 8. It's like there's certain things that make a big difference.
Yeah.
In 2014, Tabaxi had the ability to, if you didn't move for a round, you could double your speed the next round. Like there's certain things that could change that base of that character, and like I like to use the background as a complementary feature to that Excel. So
moral of the story, you can't go wrong.
No, correct. Yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna find your own method to the madness.
Absolutely.
So you get your species. At that point, you're just onto your stats, which will be for however your game has set that standard to be picked.
Right. So we've got
boom, boom, boom.
Class. I started singing. You got class, you got species, you've got your background, you've got your stats. Next is when you actually flip to the book itself and you go what the monk traits are, what the class traits are. Because they start off with your primary abilities. Mm-hmm. That's how you pick where your ability scores are going to fall. Your hit dice are determined by that class as well. Whether that's a D6 for wizards, a D8 for majority of them, a D10 for the martial classes, or a D12 for that dope barbarian.
Yeah, fine.
It's that helps formulate how many hit points you have, and then after that, based upon your class, you get saving throw proficiencies. So this is how you actually start picking out the proficiencies that build your character into what they're going to be doing. So for instance, monks get strength and dexterity saving throw proficiencies. So you just add that to your stat bonuses for those saving throws. After that, we roll into skill proficiencies. This is a game where you get to start doing that customization of your character.
Flavored.
Yep. You maybe have some skill proficiencies or tools from your species. You have skill proficiencies from your background, and now coming into your class, you get to pick 2 more, which again just help shape what your character is going to be good at. Are they stealthy? Are they strong? Are they perceptive? Are they book smart? Are they a devout religious figure? You pick and choose how that character is going to live in the world and what they're going to be good at. It's really good at this point to touch base with your other players. If absolutely nobody is good at Arcana and you guys head into this wide world of open magic and nobody knows what's going on, you might run into some struggles.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It also helps give you a great key note in the party. Like, it's fine to overlap in sections, and we've touched on before where we've been notorious for starting games where nobody's talked about anything with each other, and there's huge overlap to where, well, 2 or 3 of us are all really good at the exact same thing, so it's kind of hard for us to each kind of have our moment of shine.
Yeah.
Whereas when you do communicate with your fellow players, which is always a great thing, you get the opportunity to create a character that will always have his moment to shine in these given areas, as well as each of your fellow companions around the table. They all have these positions that give them the moment to be in the spotlight, because they are good at strength. I'm good at dex. I'm the sneaky stealth one. I'm the I'll break it open one. I'm the Arcana one. I'm the religious figure that can study this in medicine. So everybody gets that opportunity to feel special. So it's a very big point to look through that.
Yeah.
So once you get your skill proficiencies picked, you can look over the weapon proficiencies, which are really important, theoretically speaking, because you do need to know if you can use simple weapons or martial weapons.
Yeah.
If that door is open for the martial, you have a plethora of options. Simple weapons are simple for a reason. There's not nearly as many, about 8 to 10, whereas martial, I think, is probably close to like 20 to 24 total, somewhere in that range. But you want to make sure you can use a weapon that is capable, because if you're not proficient with it, and you grab a martial 2-handed weapon, you will lose that proficiency bonus, and you will probably not hit very often.
Yeah.
So make sure you look at that and understand what weapon proficiencies you have, as well as what starting equipment's been okayed by the dungeon master.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are able to start with magical items, and maybe this is where you jump into that. Or the Dungeon Masters said, don't even worry about weapons to start with. We're going to figure that out, in session 1, where you can have one simple weapon. So getting that starting equipment is kind of where you flow. Next, following that, we jump right into tool proficiencies.
Yeah. So tool proficiencies are, again, just going to add flavor to your character. Whether you're, you can use thieves' tools, whether you're a skilled artisan, so you're a wood carver or a basket weaver, whatever it is, hopefully you find ways to make those tool proficiencies important to your character.
Yeah.
I think that's the most fun part, because that puts the role playing into actually building depth to that character. They're good at calligraphy for a reason. They're good at cartography for a reason. Whatever it be, do your best to make it important, because it's going to just flesh out that character to make them feel real, to make them feel unique to you as you built them.
I always try to keep in the back of my mind, what tool proficiencies could I use in downtimes?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the extent of, we're going to a long rest, what tool proficiency or what musical instrument could I imagine this character doing in downtimes? Like where I could improv in a scene that would allow me to say, oh yeah, I pulled out my navigator's tools or something of the sorts. Why am I going blank on map making?
Cartography,
thank you.
Yeah.
I kept thinking calligraphy, so that's why. But I pull out my cartography tools, and I'm working on this map. Like where that could easily start conversations around the table. It's a cool improv moment, where things start to turn, and that you being a simple map maker really could mean something a year down the road when you guys have played for 30 sessions or whatever have you, and like all of a sudden, the DM's awarded you with a map, because you've made it of all these adventures you've gone on.
Yeah. And you can also kind of make those tool proficiencies customized, or like tailored to situations. If you are skilled in calligraphy, you might think, when am I ever going to use that in a campaign? Maybe you can forge a letter.
Oh, very true.
That would be a really fun and cool way to bring this weird one-off tool proficiency actually into the game to make it matter.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Along
with, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say, along with the class, it gives you armor proficiencies. Yep. So it basically just details out all the proficiencies that you're going to start with. That way you know how to outfit your character. Based upon the class and your background, it gives you starting items that you can pick and choose, or you can just go with the gold route and purchase those items along the way. Truthfully, that's setting dependent,
absolutely,
DM dependent, but also you dependent. Maybe your character is, a street urchin. They're starting with nothing. You can just ixnay everything, or just like maybe you have a couple of coins that you've been able to scrape together, steal, whatever. So it just adds that flavor. Past that, we get into the actual starting equipment, but right after that is the traits of your class. So level 1, you start out with those traits that you get to figure out what your character is going to be doing, and then after level 1,
you're in the game.
You're in the game.
Yeah.
You're actually playing. You've created your character. Whatever that character sheet looks like, just make it best benefit you. If you have to write it out, if it's a digital character sheet. My wife, when she played, she is a weirdo. She had an Excel spreadsheet with everything. I couldn't decipher this thing for the life of me.
That is wild.
Yeah, it was a weird choice, but she thought it was the best thing. She was so proud of this Excel spreadsheet. I was like, good job, honey. Me, I think that just the good old, this is tried and true and used over and over for a reason. It lays everything out in simple areas where you can look at it quickly and determine it. 2024 actually changed out the way the skills are laid, so that these skills are actually associated with the ability that it's tied to. So instead of just having a long list in alphabetical order of acrobatics, athletics, arcana, etc.
Keep going.
I don't think I could.
and I do like this setup a lot more.
Yeah.
I think it makes it a little bit easier because you kind of know, and you'll learn it as you go. But oh, yeah, Arcana is strength.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or like if.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Arcana is strength of the mind. My brain isn't
nailed
working
it.
apparently
Oh
today.
my goodness.
But yeah, it kind of gives you a way, and as a dungeon master, it also allows you to open up the doors a little bit for any DMs that are listening or potentially thinking about it. That you can be like, okay, so what this is a strength-based equation that you have to solve. What do you have? What are you proficient with in this?
Yeah.
Let's see, the DC will fit. That, or intelligence based, and so it makes it a little bit easier for that player to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the new sheet, and at the end of the day, also a bunch of online tools. I mean, there's several out there. Big one is D&D Beyond. It tried and true. I mean,
it pre-populates everything.
It's pretty
for
amazing.
You. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
makes
hard.
it makes it foolproof.
Yeah.
And quick.
Yeah, and especially as a spellcaster, you can't ask for much better.
Yeah.
Any online tool is probably just as well, but like, it works very nice. Be able to track spells.
Yeah.
A lot easier than pencil and paper, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm one of those weirdos where I just got done playing a druid. Prior to that, I was playing an artificer before he tragically passed away. But right after that, I went into a druid at a high-level spellcaster, and I said, no way am I using any kind of online tool. I don't know why.
I thought you did.
Near the end, once we got real high level, I did kind of cave, and I had to use the spells. Because I had all the way up to 7th level spells, and you can pick them every single day. So I had this litany of spell cards that was just obscene to sort through and pick out what I was using every single day. But keeping actual track of them on physical paper kept me in the game, kept me engaged. It kept me away from my phone, which I liked the most.
Yes.
But there's no way you can go wrong about it. We've hopefully helped outline how you build a character. Kind of built one in front of you. Otherwise,
yeah, I mean, just use the comment section, build out a character. We'd love to interact with you, and if you have any questions or concerns you may have about building character, ask away, and we will gladly help out and answer. And we just love to know about any characters you're planning on playing this year.
Yeah, honestly, what I would love to is engage with comments about people building their characters, their character ideas, and how to make them come into fruition.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would just get my mind gears rolling. So, get in the comments nonetheless. We'll see you guys down there. But otherwise,
I shouldn't interrupt you, because the last bit of information we do have today is Mr. Zerion 13. Sir, we just had sent you a reply yesterday. You won our January giveaway. Congratulations. And please reply back to us. Shoot us that, because we want to send these to you. So that way you can find all the information so easily.
Just so easy.
Congratulations.
You want to see the monk again? Oh, boom. Monk.
It's easy.
Done.
That nice.
Turtle tabs by both the books. Get you some.
Okay. Well, guys, it's been a nice long rest. I think we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Start our adventuring day.
See ya.